place. They're going to vote on it, and the president, I suspect, before the end of today, very likely, will sign it. And at that point, the stimulus money can start moving. So what does it mean? And I know a lot of you right now, first question for you is going to be, how much money might come in some of these checks, and who qualifies? Let me tell you, with the latest we've dug in, and if some of you have questions or comments, message me on Facebook, or you can call in right now at 737-7587 what you think of the stimulus plan as well. All right, again, as I said, it's a true $2 trillion stimulus deal, all right? It includes sending checks directly to individuals, all right? That means people will get it. Now, under the plan, and this is what we know now, keep in mind, some of these details are not definitive until the president signs it, and there are some things I may not be able to answer for you, but the basics are this. Under the plan, all right, single Americans, if you're single, you'll receive a $1,200 check, all right? Married couples would get $2,400, and parents would see $500 for each of their children under the age of 17. All right, so single, $1,200. All right, married, $2,400, and an extra $500 for each child. Now, the payments would start to phase out for those who make an adjusted gross income of more than $75,000. And those making more than $99,000 would not qualify at all. Now keep in mind, that's for an individual, all right? You could be phased out and get a lesser amount if you're making less than $99,000. Now you just double that amount if you're a married couple. So there are folks who are making like $200,000 a year who are not going to get a check, and you know what? That's the way it should be, okay? This money has to go to those who really, really need it, especially, of course, those folks who have lost their jobs. Now, one of the big questions being asked by many of you right now is whether or not you're going to get it if you are on Social Security, and that right now is a gray area. We're not exactly sure. I was checking on that, and that detail is going to be worked out. I've seen some places saying that Social Security recipients will qualify to get some. Others, they have said, may not be the case, all right? So I know that's a concern for some of you, wondering if you're on Social Security. Certainly it's a struggle for you as well. That's a fixed income. Will you get this check? And I do wonder, from some of you who are going to get it, getting this money, a one-time check, is a nice thing. And would I turn it down? Of course not. But when you really think about it, in the scheme of things, with how long this coronavirus crisis is going to last, how far is $1,200 or $2,400 going to get you, especially maybe if you've lost your job and all of this? My concern is, yes, this is a stopgap that will help in the very short term for a lot of people, and I'm glad it's coming. But I'm more concerned right now with making sure the money and resources get to where it needs to be, with our health professionals, with vaccine work, with treatments, to try to stem this tide, because it continues to skyrocket along those lines. That's what worries me. Now, when might all of this happen? All right, it's going to take some time. The first checks potentially may not go out until May. Could be sooner. Why? Well, the IRS is going to have to calculate each person's payment amount. Think about all the Americans, and they have to calculate it. Then it will need the correct direct deposit information or mailing addresses to get to the money from people, for instance, who maybe haven't filed tax returns. It might have to request that information from the Social Security Administration or Veterans Affairs. That's going to take time. So don't expect the checks necessarily immediately, but I know they're going to try to expedite it as quickly as they can. Wanted to see if there are some questions here. If you make $35,000 a year, will you get a check? Based on the information we see here, Kyle, the answer to that would be yes, you will get a check, okay? And again, don't want to confuse anyone. These are one-time checks, at least for now. You are not going to be getting a check every 2 weeks or every month for this money. This is a one-time check going out, at this point, because people are in emergency situations, all right? That's how that's going to work out. What about our seniors on disability and Social Security? And I see so many of you on Facebook right now hitting me up on that. And at that point, that question is still up in the air. I've seen conflicting reports on that. And clearly, that will be specified later today once this plan is voted on and the president signs it. We don't have a plan in front of us necessarily to really dig through to get those details, because it's not finally signed. But what's been released to us is basically this, and it doesn't say definitively one way or another for Social Security. So I can say this, you look for little little, slivers of good news that come along. The stimulus package is positive on one front. In fact, this just happened. The financial markets have taken notice. And if you're like me, you have not checked your 401k or any investments or anything else, you don't want to know about it. And I know many of you may not have those, but the market's tanked, right? Bad news. Well, stocks are on the rise thanks to this, okay? The word of the stimulus package has really helped with the markets in the short term. Things will settle, and it's going to go back until the virus really starts going down. Our markets are going to be in disarray, but that is some positive news on that front. All right, so let's see. If you got less back on your tax return and are single, it's $1,200 and $500 with your child. That is correct. All right, I heard if you made less, let's see, this is from Brandy. She didn't complete that comment there. What else do we have? How are we going to pay this back? A lot of people wondering, where's this money coming from? How are we going to pay this back? Look, the economy, when things get back, we'll get back to it. That there are means for doing this. Did you watch 60 Minutes this past weekend? One of the members of the Treasury Department basically laying out there is plenty of cash. Okay, no one needs to run to the bank. And there was a report of someone going into the bank and cleaning out their account and taking all their cash home and putting it under their mattress. If you want to have a little cash on hand, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But emptying your bank account or selling your stock portfolio is sheer idiocy right now, okay? I mean, because you've already lost money. You may as well write it out. Things are going to bounce back. But there's plenty of money, and there's no need to panic and do something like that. Will a grandparent with custody of a 12-year-old receive anything? I assume the grandparent will, and if you have legal custody of that 12-year-old, you will get a $500 check in addition to whatever you get qualifying on the income levels. What if you had just went to work and days later lost your job? Are you eligible for unemployment or help in Tennessee? I am not sure. You have to work for a period of time to qualify for unemployment. But I can tell you this, and that's part of the stimulus package as well. Billions of dollars are being set aside to extend unemployment benefits to everyone and loosen some of those restrictions. Now, if you just worked someplace for a couple of days, I can't tell you that you're going to be qualifying for unemployment. You haven't been there long enough for that. But again, that's something that will come out too, and that's good news as well. We also know in the stimulus package, besides just those checks, okay, a lot of money is being set aside for small businesses, all right? Businesses that have had to close, even larger businesses. A lot of them, I think right now, and I've heard from an awful lot of you on Facebook, on my Facebook page, Nick Barris NC5, you're concerned that you're going to a place of employment where there's others around you and they haven't shut down and they're saying you have to come to work, but you're worried about going there and getting exposed and all of this. Well, the businesses need to keep running, they say. They need to keep the income coming. They want to continue to pay people. You want to stay home, but you don't want to lose your job. It's my understanding that some of this money is going to allow some of these businesses right now that are staying open to close and still be able to pay employees, all right? That's part of it. So the stimulus package includes unemployment benefits extension and money for small business and larger ones as well to keep them afloat. Let's see, what else do we have here? What if you owe taxes? Will that person qualify there? There's no indication along those lines that whether you owe some at this point is going to be issue. And by the way, a lot of us haven't filed taxes yet this year because now with everything that's happened, we've got an extension until July 15th. You don't have to file now. So until July 15th, so if you haven't filed, they will base your income information on what you did last year, okay, if that's all they have. And that's how they will determine partially whether or not you qualify. April says she worked in a small restaurant business. She's probably among those that have lost their jobs. She's someone who's going to get a check one, okay? She's someone who also may end up getting some type of income if some comes to the small business that allows them to continue to pay their employees while they're at home. Other questions, if you have them, you can go ahead. We're right now streaming live on Facebook at newschannel5.com. And as I said earlier, if you're just joining us, we're talking with a psychiatrist from Meharry about dealing with the issues. And I've seen a lot of people here just commenting how they're feeling anxiety. And that's, if you're not feeling anxiety, something's wrong with you. And I had to throw this out. There are some out there who apparently don't think it's serious or think it's a big joke. And did you see in Kentucky, someone threw a coronavirus party? and more than 36 people showed up and were partying all together in a small room and thought it was great. The governor reported this yesterday and thinking they didn't have anything to worry about. They were all between 20 and 30 years old. Coronavirus party. I don't know if they thought they were being cute or clever. You know what they were? Stupid. All right. At least one of those people has already tested positive for the coronavirus, which means there was someone at that party that was a carrier and maybe spread it to a bunch of them. That's the kind of idiocy I'm talking about, all right? We don't need that kind of activity going on. Do I go out and shop right now? I'm cautious, but if I need something at the store, I go. Am I carrying out food? Yes. I'm cautious. I'm reasonable. I go. Am I going to a coronavirus party because I think that's funny and clever? No. Why? Because I'm not an idiot. All right, so use your head. I couldn't believe that story when that came down. The mental state of this is just keep your wits about you, and that's what the psychiatrist said earlier, if you're just joining us, which is find ways to occupy yourself. You know, if you're home, you're there with your kids, you know, you've got things that you finally have time to do that maybe in the busy lives we lead, you have time now to do stuff. So let's take some calls. We've got some calls here. We'll go to Carolina. Carolina, good morning. What's on your mind, Carolina?
I would like to know if you're on disability, would we qualify for the stimulus check?
So you're on Social Security disability?
Yes.
Okay, and yeah, you're wondering about that. My answer to you is I believe there is going to be monies available for Social Security, but we don't know that definitively right now. A lot of people are wondering if they're on Social Security or disability like you are, whether you'll qualify. And since they're basing it some on income and folks that were working, and the money really is going there initially to help those who have lost their jobs and businesses that have closed, it's not clear if it will be coming to you. We will know that answer probably before the end of the day. And I've seen it on both sides, Carolina. I've heard some say that it looks like under the plan it may not be included for those folks. And I've seen others saying, yes, some monies will be freed up to go to those folks. We'll double check that. As soon as we know, I will post it on my Facebook page, Nick Barris NC5, which reminds me, while we're right now streaming on the station page, when we're off on this, my page, Nick Barris NC5, is up all the time. I have the latest information there, and I will continue to post dozens of posts every day. You can go there and message me with questions, but we hopefully will have that answer for you. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll take more of your calls, 737-7587, and if you have any questions also, go ahead and message us right now here on Facebook at newschannel5.com. More right after this.